Have you heard about methylene blue? I've been using it for over 20 years, off and on. And this weekend, I spoke with someone who actually made herself really sick with methylene blue. It can be a game changer if used correctly. And so, is what I wanted to do today is talk about the role of magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids, and methylene blue in obtaining optimal health. Now, remember, I am not a doctor and I am not prescribing or telling you what to do. We are just having a conversation about different things that are happening and being talked about. First of all, let's determine what is methylene blue. Methylene blue, in the simplest form, just increases ATP energy at the cellular level. It Think of it like if you were on a bike and you're riding and you're going up a hill and you need a different gear to make it easier and more efficient to go up that hill. Methylene blue adds that gear to your body. But, and here's where the but comes when using methylene blue. Methylene blue burns through your magnesium faster and burns through your omegas faster. And making sure that you're setting your body up correctly if you opt to use methylene blue becomes even more important. Methylene blue, the way that I've been using it the most successfully over the last 20 years, is similar to how I approach adaptogens, in the fact that I don't stay on adaptogens all of the time. I go off and on because when staying on methylene blue, it can break your body down faster. And so you use it as a support tool. Now, here's where the problem comes in with methylene blue. Lots of people are talking about it. I'd love to know. Leave in the comments if you've heard about it recently, or maybe you're like me and you've been using it for years. I'd love to know where you're at. Or maybe this is the very first time that you're hearing about methylene blue. There are downsides to methylene blue. And this is what I really want to talk about today, because is all she heard was all the hype of methylene blue, the current hype, like, it fixes everything. No, it doesn't. And there are downsides. And there are some people who should not be taking methylene blue. For example, small handful of people who should not be taking methylene blue: kidney function. If you have poor kidney function, it can put you over the edge because it's hard to process on the kidney. So you've got to have really strong kidney function. If you are on a stimulant type medication, methylene blue is not a good fit. If you are on anything that changes or adjusts your serotonin levels, methylene blue is not a good fit. If you are someone who has high blood pressure, methylene blue can increase your blood pressure. Well, listening to that, you might be thinking, why would anyone take methylene blue? Because in the correct form, the correct type, for the correct things, it's a game changer. It reduces inflammation. It's also been shown for those who are worried about Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia type of neurological processes. The healing benefit of methylene blue, there's nothing like it. Very anti-aging. I always know when I'm on methylene blue because my skin it just looks better. Methylene blue has been shown a lot of anti-aging properties when you're taking methylene blue. But let's go back to those gears of the increased gear because methylene blue is just increasing the oxygen movement, the electron transfer at the cellular level. So it increases ATP energy, which is why I fell in love with magnesium because instead of chasing a symptom, it was working at the core inside the cell to create a strong foundation. And methylene blue is that same concept. It works inside the cell at the ATP energy level, but can also break down. And I can't find any studies on this. I can't find anything. I see it though all of the time. And so I do want to share with you. While you remember, I'm not a doctor, not diagnosing, just sharing some thoughts and things I've learned on my journey to create and maintain optimal health. And that is methylene blue increases the rate of oxygen transfer, right? So it increases ATP energy. It can wear down your omega 3 fatty acid bridge. So if methylene blue is something that you're taking or something that you're looking into taking, let's look at magnesium levels and make sure we're increasing magnesium levels by soaking more often and that we're also increasing our intake of omega 3 fatty acids. Now, I do that through supplement form and through whole foods. However, you do that, recognize that methylene blue can break down the omega 3. And we don't, well, I should say, I don't want that happening because my omega 3 fatty acid profile determines cognitive function. It determines how my hormones are working. There are so many things that are, oh my gosh, I've got all sorts of all sorts of notifications going off on my phone. That omega 3 fatty acid profile is incredibly important when it comes to hormones and thyroid function. I don't want to break that down. Methylene blue is incredible and can improve those things, but because it works so efficiently, it can also burn them out. Oh, didn't do anything for me. Jimmy, one thing, and again, Jimmy, this is such a careful line. I'm just sharing thoughts. Sometimes when people say that, it's the dosage was off. Now, here's the other thing I want to talk about with methylene blue is where you get it from. Methylene blue has been used for over a century. I've been using it for over 20 years, off and on, not solid, not consistent. I don't want to use it consistently. It's one of those things I use. I step in and use as support and then back off. Methylene blue is also used in aquariums. The first place that I heard about methylene blue just over 20 years ago was on Earth Clinic. For those of you who used Earth Clinic as a resource, remember Ted on Earth Clinic? He was the one that introduced me to methylene blue and the absolute benefits of methylene blue. It's used in aquariums, and methylene blue can be incredibly high in heavy metals, incredibly high in heavy metals, which break down your body and increase oxidative stress. Even though you might be taking the methylene blue to offset oxidative stress, if it's a methylene blue that's high in heavy metals, it will increase oxidative stress. And that's why, in my opinion, it's so important to have strong magnesium levels and to have strong omega 3 fatty acid profile balance. Now, there is only one place. I'm not affiliated with the company. They don't know me. There's only one place, though, that I would purchase methylene blue from. And you will need to Google, I've written it down, TRO just blue. And that's the only place that I would use methylene blue from because especially now, it's the same thing is happening with this product that's happened with magnesium. 25 years ago, there weren't a lot of people talking about magnesium or selling magnesium. And it's wonderful that more people are talking about it. The downside of more people selling it is they're selling garbage, they're selling road grade magnesium. You don't get the benefits from that. You need it coming from the correct source. And you and I have talked a lot about where I get my magnesium from and the magnesium that I share with other people. It is the most pristine source of magnesium. Methylene blue has that same thing happening in that there are a lot of people jumping on the bandwagon with so many people understanding, hey, methylene blue can shut down virus and bacteria load in my body that are not responding to other things. And so people are grabbing it from anywhere and selling it. That's why personally, TRO Labs, Just Blue, is the only place that I would get mine from. I'm not affiliated with them. Do a Google search, do your own research, but methylene blue has a very high potential to have high heavy metals. Now, heavy metals aren't good for anyone. They're specifically not a good fit for me because of the titanium that was put in me after a failed surgery. And I had an allergic reaction to the titanium. They, at the time, they thought titanium was inert. We now know it's not, and there's a small percentage of the population like me that have what's called Melissa syndrome, and that's where your body reacts to the titanium. Now, there's a lot of conversation. It might be something else in the titanium, it could be the nickel, could be other things. Needless to say, I stay away from heavy metals, and so that's why the Just Blue is the only one that I've found that meets that standard of not introducing heavy metals into my body. Oh, happy St. Patrick's Day to you. I don't even have any green on today, I realized. My daughter sent um, a video of my grandsons this morning running through the house, finding little things that had happened in their house from the leprechauns. It's such a fun day in our family with some fun traditions. So happy St. Patrick's Day to you also. I don't even know. I guess I'm sitting in a green chair. Does that count? I don't even, I noticed Shelly even had on green today. Yeah, so I don't know if I'll be able to find any, but I am sitting in a green chair. The methylene blue, especially for people who are having chronic repetitive issues that just health issues that are not clearing up, methylene blue is one that I think you might want to look into. Again, though, it's not for everyone. And the two cofactors that I see you need to really make sure you've got strong are your magnesium. And you can test that by checking your magnesium red blood cell. Now, remember, the goal with magnesium is to get our interstitial levels pumped up. You can't test interstitial levels, but interstitial levels match red blood cell levels. And so we look at that magnesium red blood cell level, knowing that it matches the interstitial level. And that's why oral magnesium, sure, it can give you some benefits, but it cannot give you the full benefit of magnesium because it cannot move the magnesium red blood cell levels, meaning it's not making a difference in the interstitial level. And that's where your body's going to pull magnesium for your organs. And it's not a perfect test, the magnesium red blood cell test. It's not a perfect test in the fact that it does not show the magnesium levels in your bones. And 60% of your magnesium is in your bones, 40% is in that interstitial and red blood cell space. That's where your body goes to pull magnesium, is from that interstitial space. And so testing your magnesium red blood cell, not serum, it's so important for your body to hold your serum that it will pull from interstitial space to hold your serum levels at 1%. And so, because your body will rob from everywhere else in your body to keep your serum at 1%, it doesn't vary often because you need that 1% in your serum to maintain breathing, just the basics of life. So that's why I like to look at the magnesium red blood cell. And that's why soaking in magnesium 25 years ago became this foundational piece of understanding for me and the difference that it made in my health. And it took me from not chasing symptoms, but to building that strong foundation for my health and now maintaining. Now, for example, one of the things that I'm almost done. We're almost done. Today's my last painting day. And we just have recently moved. And my eating, like the things that I do for myself, my sunshine, all of those things have just gone on the back burner while I've been focused on getting settled into this home. And so I am going to kick it in gear. Tomorrow the carpet comes and then we can start moving things back in. And then the following week, I have a start date that I'm just going to increase my focus on what I'm doing for my body, and magnesium, omegas, and methylene blue will be a part of that. Now, methylene blue is something that I always do in the spring. And I want you to be thinking about spring and what are your routines and rituals that you do. I always focus on gut health in the spring. I make sure my parasite load is good. I increase my bile. It's the most powerful way to make sure that parasites are held in balance in your body, because if you can do all the parasite cleanses that are out there, but if you don't have strong bile, the parasites are reproducing because parasites, um, strong bile function is stops parasite reproduction. It literally burns the reproductive organs and they can't reproduce. You never completely get rid of parasites in your body. You keep things in balance so that your body naturally doesn't, it stops that parasitic growth. And so that's another thing that I do in the spring. I'd love to know, what's your focus in the spring? I think sometimes we can wait until we don't feel as well in the fall and winter. Spring, you get such incredible traction on your health because there's naturally more light. Anytime we have more light, we have better health. And so we can add some other things in the spring, take the synergy of natural forward movement and make sure that we're adding to it. And it just builds on itself, it snowballs and makes it easier. So I'm really looking forward, not next week, but the week after, because of my home and settling and all of those things, of really putting more focus on my health and settling in. And there are times that we use our energy points for our health. And I've been doing that. I've been using the energy points. I think of it like a bank account, and you're building a bank account of health points. And I've been normally, I'm very focused on building health points or maintaining. There are some times that I withdraw. And this last 3 to 4 weeks of really pushing everything to get in the house, I've been withdrawing my health points. And that's an okay thing to do. I don't want to do it for too long because then I'll start not feeling as good. And I noticed the other day, energy wise, waking up in the morning, my energy is not quite where it was, my brain function, all those things. So I just need to tighten up. But there's an ebb and a flow. And I used to think that healthy people were always just spot on. That was perfectionism creeping in. They're not. They just recognize the ebb and flow of creating and or maintaining health and make decisions based on that to be or create the place that they want to be. So, um, oh, is this something that you would take if you have low iron? That is a great question, AJ, and I'm not sure what you're referencing. And so I'm not sure if we're referencing magnesium or omegas, methylene blue. I've talked about a couple different things. I didn't see your comment as it came in to the context, and I'd love if you'd help me build a little bit of context on that so we could talk about it. Becky says, how does one get a strong, is it biofunction, I think, Becky? So, oh gosh, sorry, I just kicked my light. One of the things on bile is just taking deep breaths, just breathing. In fact, right now, let's do that. And just slowing down, taking big breaths helps improve bile function. Looking at stress levels. What's stressing you out? Can you take a couple breaths? And I like to ask myself a couple of questions. Is this going to stress me out in 1 minute? Is this going to stress me out in 1 day? Is this going to stress me out in 1 week, 1 month, 1 year? And just by asking myself those questions, a lot of times the stress that I'm experiencing, my brain goes, oh, this doesn't really matter. And taking those couple of deep breaths helps me walk away from that. Doing those simple meditative practices improve bile function. Being comfortable as a woman holding your power improves bile function. I am convinced, and I will die on this hill, that women who are not comfortable with the power of their voice have weak bile function. And so getting comfortable sharing your opinion, getting comfortable. One thing that's an interesting one for me that happens a lot with women is, where do you want to eat? Oh, I don't care. Wherever you want to eat. Name where you want to eat. Use your voice. Have an opinion. Another one is, oh, I'm so sorry I was late. I'm so sorry for this. I'm so sorry for that. I'm so sorry for this. I'll weaken the power of our voice. And when we weaken our voice, we weaken our bile. Bringing our bile and our voice together powerfully helps improve gut function. And sometimes we can walk away from those simple tools that we can use to increase our health. And we search outside. And there's nothing wrong. Please know it's a balance. And the balance that's right for you may be different than the balance that's right for me. So I'm not not saying at all, don't look for things outside. I'm just saying sometimes that's the first place we jump to is the health food store or a supplement, when in actuality, health is created here and the synergy builds internally, and then we move it out this way. Maria, great results from soaking. What is salt potassium ratio per day for a healthy person? I wish I could tell you that. A healthy person, if you had 10 healthy people in a room, there would be 10 different healthy answers for them. There are so many things that come into play. And so I can give some very loosely structured guidelines. Potassium, anywhere from, and again though, this depends on kidney function, because some people this would be too much, but 3,000 to 5,500 milligrams of potassium a day. And remember that the higher your stress levels, the more potassium that you need. And so you might be a healthy person who has a stress going on right now, and your potassium level needs will change. And salt is the same way. The foods that you eat, how hydrated you are, will determine how much salt. And so both of those things, and truly it's not that I don't want to answer, they just vary so much for each individual person, that playing with them and building that relationship, becoming the CEO and building that relationship, choose one. Okay, this week I'm focused on potassium, and I am going to find out the simplest ways for me to get potassium in my diet and do a little bit of tracking and investigative work to see, do I feel better at 4,000, or is 3,500 where I feel good? For example, when I took a couple of weeks and did that, and I found that I can supplement with cream of tartar potassium, but only up to 2 teaspoons separated, or else I have digestive issues. And so other people can do more, other people can do less. And so really building that relationship to build your voltage. It sounds like you're focused on that voltage of magnesium, potassium, and salt, and really determining what is a good fit for you. Um, but tracking and then monitoring how you feel is my favorite way to kick in. On salt, it varies so much. I don't even have a number I feel comfortable throwing out. On potassium, the upper is about 5,400 would be upper. And then usually the minimum is about 3,000 milligrams. And again, though, kidney function is going to play a huge part in that. Water retention, if you're on specific, excuse me, if you're on specific medications, that would change it also. But hopefully that will help, Maria, on, oh, on meth blue. Um, AJ, I'm thinking about that. It wouldn't be the first place that I would start with iron. It definitely, I can see in my head the connections of, it might help, but there are other processes that I would look into before doing that. But at the same time, if you've tried a lot of things, because an iron issue is an oxidative stress issue, right? And meth blue does help with oxidative stress. So yeah, it might be just the thing. Could be. It typically isn't the first place that I would look for iron, but saying that, as my brain's like, you've got me really thinking, an iron anemia issue is oxidative stress. And meth blue is really good at boosting oxidative stress. Again, anytime adding meth blue, we want to make sure that our magnesium levels are strong because you'll burn through your magnesium faster. And we want to make sure that omega-3 fatty acid profile that you're either supplementing or getting from food and you're increasing that. I do both. That's the best fit for me. But however, you're focused on your omega-3 fatty acid. Oh, been stressed over the years. Yeah. So it might really help. Looking at your ferritin levels within your iron panel is one of the first things that I would do. Most people, an iron panel is pretty easy to access, and that ferritin for most iron panels will be within that panel, and we don't want that ferritin really high or really low because that's really going to help us understand, is it that I don't have enough storage for my iron, or is it that I don't have enough iron? And I think it's very important to determine which of those is happening. We need to understand that because they're approached very differently. Is it as how I'm storing the iron, or is it not enough iron? Has the iron gone to my muscles and being stored in places that iron shouldn't be stored? Or is it literally a lack of iron that I'm not getting enough in? And so determining that would help. But you're right, because of the oxidative stress benefit of methylene blue, it could be. I haven't seen that correlation, um, but absolutely though, it could be huge. And that's where anyone no, well, let me pull that back. I think an important place for myself when I've had anemia issues in the past is looking at the strength of my adrenals. Because if your adrenals aren't strong, you'll never get on top of the iron issues. And going back to the basics of your voltage, magnesium, potassium, salt, before we start adding all of these other things, because your adrenals run on salt and potassium, and then magnesium moves that. And so if you don't have your voltage strong, it's like you're doing all of these things and putting it in an empty bucket. And so it becomes incredibly important to make sure that adrenal function is strong. And adrenals run on potassium and salt and need strong voltage, which is magnesium, potassium, salt, and good fats. Okay, is there something I can do to take decrease cysts on kidneys? And again, when when questions come in, I always want to clarify, I'm not a doctor or diagnosing. One of the things, and you're holding your health, I'm holding my health, and we're just having conversations. One of the most beneficial things for me at decreasing cysts was iodine, topical iodine on my skin. That was the most important layer. And the beautiful thing about adding iodine when you add it through your skin, the correct kind, the best part of that is that you don't need to have those cofactors in place. Now, if you're at the point that you're taking iodine orally, absolutely. We need to have those cofactors in place: selenium, vitamin C, magnesium. But if we're taking it through our skin, it's it's not detrimental if we don't have those in place, and is so beneficial for when there are cysts and things like that. And again, I'm I've got to keep that balance, and I need to say it again. I'm not diagnosing, prescribing, or telling you what to do. It was so beneficial for me and completely got rid of them. And I've heard that now from thousands of people that topical iodine has helped them also. just while we have this conversation and you hold responsibility for your own health. Oh, AJ, you're so very welcome. Potassium and what companies offer a good supplement. Elizabeth, I love the so when I do potassium, there are two ways of potassium that I do. Number one, food, always. And my favorite ways with food are avocados, white beans, and coconut water. And I don't have my office set up here yet in my home, and so I don't have things here that I can pull, but typically right now I would pull a bottle of Harmless Harvest coconut water. It's my favorite whole food source of coconut water. And then sometimes it's a little tough to get it in, the day got busy. And so the supplement that I would use for potassium is cream of tartar. I'm focused on pronouncing my T's. And it's 1 teaspoon has about 500 milligrams of potassium. Now, remember though, it is processed synthetic potassium. And so I always start with whole foods. If I need some supplementation, I know for my stomach, I can handle a teaspoon at a time, up to twice a day. More than that, and I get digestive issues. Some people less, some people can handle more. It really varies on your body, your gut. And so you need to figure out, build that relationship and see as you're learning and discovering, okay, what's the best way for me to get this much potassium in? You will notice, I haven't, a lot of women will share this with me, like, Kristen, my skin. People were like reaching out and touching my skin when they got their potassium levels. When you get your voltage balanced, your skin looks better. And so it's a fun thing to watch for. Like, oh, I'm doing some things and they're externally showing. And potassium is one of those for skin. Oh, and Emmett. Hello, Sherry. Oh, oh, absolutely, I can. Becky, let me jump to Becky's really quick. Becky, I just mix the cream of tartar in liquid. And typically I'm adding it to my adrenal drink. And so I just mix it in whatever liquid of choice that I'm using. It mixes very easily, doesn't have a strong flavor profile, super easy to get down. A little bit of grit if I don't mix it well at the end, but super easy to get down. Okay, Sherry, let's jump back to taurine. Taurine, let me grab a little bit of water. Hold on just one sec. Okay, taurine is a simple amino acid, and that amino acid helps hold magnesium in the cell. And sometimes, if we've been low in magnesium and we have a lot of stress and we've been low in magnesium for a while, our taurine gets a little imbalanced. And so, adding taurine back in, I especially see when people are soaking, but they're like, I I do not see the benefit of soaking in magnesium. I'm not experiencing anything. It's that their body's not holding on to it. And so that's when we start looking at taurine. And you can get taurine from food. Once it gets low, the pattern that I see is it's a little bit tougher to pull it up with food. And so adding a taurine supplement can be a simple, quick, effective way to bring your taurine levels up. But here's the big but, and that is that too much taurine can tank your thyroid function. And oh, I don't want to do that. And so going really low and slow on your taurine, taking it as a supplement to make sure that you're not tanking your thyroid function is important. And it will be different for everyone. The upper threshold dosage of taurine is 2,000 milligrams. And some people do fine with that. A good starting dose for taurine is 500 milligrams. And determining and understanding, oh, I might I might need some taurine supplementation, recognizing though it's synthetic, it's oral, it's isolated. There is always a downside to that type of supplementation. And I'm going to add it, but I'm also going to understand that too much of it in my body can tank thyroid function. And one way that I think is really powerful, well, would it be helpful to know a simple way to look at your thyroid function to determine if it is playing a difference? My my girls are having a conversation about um one of them has a clogged drain. So my phone is like lit up right now with conversations from my girls. Would that be helpful um to know? Let's see. Okay, let's I'll I'll go ahead just really quick because sometimes there's a lag. So I'll go ahead taking your basal. There's my girls, the drain is unclogged. Yay! Taking your basal body temperature is going to tell you, because that's the first place, that's the first signal the body is going to have that your thyroid conversion from T4 to T3 isn't where it needs to be. And that basal body temperature, especially first thing in the morning, is going to drop. And I think someone that knows that they've got a dysfunctional thyroid, taking that morning basal body temperature gives them incredible feedback. So, for example, sometimes we can, and I see this pattern happening a lot, that, oh, my thyroid's not functional, this isn't working, my medication's not working. My girls are really excited that that drain is not clogged, and all the little notifications coming up in the text thread. It's making me laugh. Sorry. It's also, I need to get focused on what you and I are talking about. I'm so sorry. Okay, focus, Kristen. Mm. So that morning basal body temperature, that is going to change if your thyroid is being affected by anything. And here's what I like to do: put your sleep patterns on top of your basal temperature, and you're going to see how much your sleep and going to bed late tanks your thyroid. Sometimes we can look at all of these, we talked earlier about looking at external things, and we forget to that health starts internally, and we push it out and we collect it. That wave that we've talked about, the magnesium morning trifecta of the cell, it starts internally here, and then we bring it in, and it starts this way, and it creates that pattern. And sometimes we forget how powerful we really are, because your sleep patterns, what time you go to bed, the quality of your sleep habits determine thyroid function. And so um, once you start seeing your sleeping patterns and your thyroid functionality through that basal temperature, you start noticing, oh, if I'm in bed and asleep by this time, my temperature bumps up, which means my thyroid is more functional. But if I'm going to bed at midnight or 11 or 1, the next day, my basal body temperature is down, meaning the choice that I made suppressed my thyroid function. And that can be a little bit overwhelming for some because if you're already overwhelmed in your life and your shoulders feel burdened, and then we put more responsibility and accountability on top of that, it can feel crushing. But that's how much power we hold in our thyroid function. Oh, okay. It has been delightful. We went on all sorts of little excursions today, and it's been just absolutely delightful. I did want to, oh my gosh, I completely forgot my whole thing today because I was feeling so scattered with the house, and I've got one room, no, um, two rooms that need to be finished before carpet gets laid tomorrow. They'll be here tomorrow morning. So I was feeling a little scattered today. So the very thing that I'm going to do, I'm glad you're still here. I'm doing giveaway, doing giveaway. So I would love to know if you've learned anything. Share with me how magnesium has helped you, the benefit to soaking. If you haven't soaked before, share something that you have maybe taken away today from our time together. Share your best health tip. I'll do um f- I'll do 6 bundles. Okay, I'm giving away an entire bundle. You do have to live in the United States. I don't ship internationally. And I'll do 2 on YouTube. I'll do 2 on, oh my gosh, now they're talking about a concert. It's gone from, their text thread has gone from clogged drains to a concert they're excited about. Okay, I will do 2 on YouTube, 2 on Instagram, and 2 on Facebook. The giveaway is not sponsored by any of those social media sites. It's sponsored by my company, Living the Good Life Naturally. I will pay to ship the product to you. And leave a comment, share with me something you love about soaking in magnesium, or something that you learned from the live, or your very all-time favorite health tip. And that will let me know that you're here. And then we'll pick from those comments, 2 on Facebook, 2 on YouTube, 2 on Instagram. If there's no one, like, I know YouTube, we don't have as many people showing up. And so if there's no one there, we'll just pass on giving those away on YouTube. Now, on Instagram, it's a little different on Instagram. And that is, you have to go on Instagram and reply on the after the live has ended. So after the live has ended, to do it on Instagram. So you have to wait for me to post it, and then you have to leave a comment after the live has ended. Uh, Facebook, a little bit easier, and that it shows up even if you commented during the live. So a um, little bit different for each social media channel. But it's been delightful being here, and it was a nice distraction. I am now headed to go do my last day of painting and listen. I always put on a good audio book while I'm painting. I've got 2 rooms left. Carpet will be laid tomorrow, and then I can start putting um, furniture back in and bring some order. I can bring some order to my life. I can set up some spaces and some better routines for myself. And I'm so excited to be able to do so. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I can't wait to ship out some bundles. Share with me what you love about soaking in magnesium, something you've learned from the live, or just your all around best health tip that you want to share with someone. And that will enter you in. Now, on Instagram, I'm going to go post this. Okay, I'm going to go post it, and then you have to wait until the live has ended. It'll be worth it though, because not a lot of people will take the time to do it. So let the odds ever be in your favor. Bye, guys. Let's see. Oh, and it's different on my phone. And the down here.